Hello, Audrey.
Hello.
How's it going?
It is.
Good. That's the key, as long as things are going. Oh, and there's another Audrey coming in. I will bring her that way. Hello. Are you there? Either way, good to see you. All right. I just like bringing this up because it's pattern recognition. Let me just see here if I can't. Oh, and Audrey says she's traveling, so she will be just listening in. Excellent. All right, so this is the Dow Jones Industrial Index. Uh, I like bringing up this pattern, and I didn't notice this the first time that I was drawing this line. This was back from 2018, that high there. 2018, again, that high in July or October 2018. Third one, and then that extension before the COVID crash. That trend line right here gets formed between these two highs. That trend line then is something that denies the growth later. So that trend line, as much as it was support, it flips and becomes resistance. Isn't that interesting? Along that same trajectory. Well, look at what's happening. We've talked about how we're at this extension point where the market is accumulating right now beyond that triple high. Well, look at that trend line. This trend line's from April 2024. And that was where we saw it accumulate. That's the point of accumulation, that pivot point right there. There's the old B. So as that went up, that became support. After the double top went underneath. Now that trend line is providing resistance. Fascinating. So that's US markets, still accumulating. Japanese markets took a little bit of a pullback, a larger pullback than what they've seen in the past couple months. Yeah, since April. This is actually the biggest downward retracement that they've had in quite a while. Again, these guys they make no bones about what's going on with their economy. Everybody knows the currency is collapsing. Silver prices still on the rise. We had Friday closing out at an all-time high, and this morning hasn't changed. It's still pushing upwards. Had a high of 58.92 US. So what the Canadian is on that? It's got to be getting close to 80. Yeah, there it is. 81.80 is what it is right now with a high of 82.24. That's crazy. So that double top is proving to be just a little bit of resistance at this pivot point. What does that mean? It means that we are likely coming back to this point here to come and retest that again. That's a double top. So that's a major resistance point, but it will likely provide support for another movement. Right now we're in the extension, making ourselves a new D. Any questions about this one? I'm going to add a pivot point here to there so we can reference back to that. Gold. Not creating new highs yet. However, it is pressing up against this old resistance. It has broken out, officially broken out of our triangle pattern. It gives me the, given the surge of metals, this gives me the idea that we are going to likely find some support off of this trend line, or possibly the further one out that's coming up from the lows. But either way, we have likely broken out of this triangle and headed up towards that all-time high. Going into Bitcoin dominance, it was a little bit on the rise last week, but not really creating a new high. We can see that it's just pressing up against some resistance here from October 25th. So it's not really creating a new high yet. It is technically higher than this one, but it hasn't broken market structure because we would need it. We would need to actually press up against that, right, and go above that. So we're at a critical point now, that's for sure, especially when we see what's happening within the altcoins with a big drop already this morning. Ethereum coming back down, looking like it's going to be retesting $2,600 as support. Looking out, zooming out rather, we can see that that's normal. This is a major point of resistance and support in the past, so we can expect the price to pivot on that line. And a double would definitely could indicate a reversal. It's going to depend on where does this coming downward motion, where does that end? That will give us a better idea of where it's going to head next. My philosophy with all of these is let the market come to you. Let the market come to you. And I think that right now it's not a safe bet right now. Wait until we see where is it going to go next. Is it going to bounce off of this? Because if so, then I want to start. Then I would start if it bounces off of that and comes back up and retests these highs here. That bounce to me indicates it's time to start placing pending orders, trailing behind the price as it goes bullish. That's the beautiful thing about this style of trading that I like, is just let the market come to you. Don't try to chase it. When it does something, yep, it does that, but then you know that it's going to retrace again. So place your trades in the positions where you see those retracements most likely going. That's the trick of the game. And then you're always well, like what Ian and I were talking about over the weekend. The less emotion that you have involved in your trading, the more successful you will be, simply because when the emotions get in the way, you will definitely stumble and fall. It's kind of like pride comes before the fall. Pride is also ego, and you can have the fear of losing get involved in your decision making, which affects everything. So the idea is to always be in position to catch the market. Don't chase the market. ADA finding some new lows today. This one is not a big surprise considering how deep this retracement went below that previous pivot point there. It went down quite a ways. It didn't reach the yellow line, so it makes sense that we're going to hit this yellow line. There we are. We didn't even come back up to test this pivot point here. So given that ADA here now is settling down on this yellow line, it could very well continue, but we remember that this is a pretty major point. Major resistance in here prior to the election last year. And then, of course, it provided some support for that movement that we saw in 2014. So this is a major pivot point here, same as what we're seeing in the other charts.
So what's that pivot point relative to?
This pivot point that we're on right now is going to be, let me just reset.
Oh, that's the high of those other ones. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, back here and then here. This provided support for this push in 2024. So yeah, it's a critical point. We're there now. We're still within market structure. So what I would do in this case here, especially since we're so close to C, for people who may want to put some money in, this is dollar cost averaging at its finest. Risk some now. Risk a little bit more at the next pivot point, and then risk again at the bottom at the C level. That is this here. You could not get a more beautiful opportunity for dollar cost averaging, simply because of how deep into the retracement that we are from D. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I have a question about XRP. If when you
Yeah,
have
go for it.
so XRP has seen a huge reduction in on exchanges
Oh yeah, like volume wise.
volume. Yeah, there's
Ah,
that happened yesterday. A sharp decline in XRP reserves on centralized exchanges like Binance, but there's no change. Well, not too much change in the price. I mean, change in XRP prices followed Bitcoin, etc.
right. Yeah.
Um, but it was holding steady relative compared to the change. So it went from 3.6 billion tokens to 2.7, almost
3.6 to two. Oh, wow. Yeah.
almost overnight.
Wow.
Um, I think it was 3.6. Anyhow, an article I'm looking at now says it a 300 million XRP outflow. Um, and it's an outflow, it's not a sell.
Right. Right. So outflow probably meaning it's leaving the exchange.
Yeah, it's accumulation, it would seem to me. So I don't know what that means, but um, the suspicion is institutional accumulation.
Ah, yep.
So,
Yep.
which I suspect is more indicative of a bullish attitude.
Correct. Yep. That typically does mean that. They're likely going to be selling ETFs if they feel the price is going to go down. Because those ETFs, what they're doing is that they're just selling it at market price, knowing that they're not going to buy it until the price is lower. Like actually get the asset. So you're right. Absolutely. Very indicative of bullish movement. And look at how it's sitting on top of this old support.
Yeah.
That's a major line right there. Where did my line? Oh, it's down here for some reason. You know, this here is a major line. It provided support for, basically other than few days here and then the big day, but that has essentially provided the majority of the support since election.
Yep.
Makes sense they'd buy it now. Doge, also another major pivot point. We're outside of this channel right now, so this line, yeah, may still come into play later on, but I'm going to get rid of it because we've broken out. But again, really, still just consolidating between D and C, isn't it? Over the last year, September 2024 is where that most previous low is. The high being December 2024. Injective on the decline, actually losing some support here right now. For this one here, I see the next point where it will probably test support next is going to be about 370. So if you were in Injective and you wanted to make a short trade, you could go ahead, sell some Injective, I would say for US dollars. That's just because I think that US dollars are going to maintain their value more so than the Canadian dollar, meaning the Canadian dollar is inflating at a faster rate. We'll see though. We'll see what happens. I would say that, if you wanted to make a quick short, now would be a good time. Could also wait for it to find the next support and then establish. Be like, okay, where is it going to retrace? I'll sell it for there. Put a pending order and wait for the market to come to you. BitTensor also down quite a bit from its high earlier. Earlier in the month. A month ago, it was quite a bit higher. In fact, what it looks like to me, it's down 52% from the month up. Good time to dollar cost average into that. I'm not buying it though. Not because I don't think it'll go up. Rather, I think it will go up. I'm not buying it because I just want to steer clear of companies that are globalists. This is a good barometer to see where things are at within their infrastructure. This is a major, like if we zoom out on this one, it's difficult because we don't have a whole lot of data to go by. But on that weekly chart, simply because there hasn't been much time, BitTensor's not been around. But you take a look at it, essentially BitTensor has been consolidating since it came out. And right now it's on the lower end of that consolidation. Watch for institutions as they come in, and of course watch for the onboarding. Fetch down from the pennant formation, sitting right now at some major levels that go back all the way August 2023, also providing support back in June of 2021. Polygon, major player in the gaming world, will likely see its life really take into get an injection of flow as gaming comes on board with AI. That's still just in development right now, but if you want to see the progress, I would suggest going and checking out the Unreal graphics engine. Some of the newer YouTube videos are quite remarkable. And that's where we're going to be seeing the games that come out utilize Polygon as a base token for their in-game currencies that they have between the games. Desync, nice all-time lows. Oh my gosh, isn't that something? This one here, I feel like I did when I had gold in 2011, and then going into 2012 and 13. Feeling like I bought it the wrong time, because definitely now would have been a better time to throw in money. But look at that. It is great dollar cost averaging. You could take what you have, almost double your position with the same amount of money. Almost double your position. Which means when it goes back up to say $1, you'll have twice as much to sell as you did when you started. Yeah, this one here, Destra, I would be. I'm really excited about Destra. I see what it's doing. I'm still not utilizing it. I'm got some money into it, got money positioned into it, but I'm not utilizing it yet simply because it's still more so geared towards developers. And I am currently working with an LLM to develop what I want next. Once I've got a good framework and I can go live, I'll be integrating tech like Desync within that website. And it's not really a website anymore. It's a DApp, a decentralized app. PAL also coming down to some all-time lows back from when it first got started. WorldCoin at lows right now, major lows. Actually pressing down against those lows. Neural AI. Smaller market capitalization on this one. I like this. I like the shape of this chart here. This is a nice formation.
So
Go ahead.
What do you like about that one, given that's a wrap?
This is a wrap. This is how much. Yes, you're right. This is still the U.S. dollars, but it's pulling it. You're right. The data is from the wrapped coin, because that's the contract, the most common contract that people use when purchasing. There are different ways that you can get into Neural AI. You can get the wrapped coin on Ethereum. I think there's another one on the Avalanche network as well. And so they distinguish between the two tokens by putting it, which coin are we wrapping it with? Which contract are we using?
So can you? I don't think you and I have talked about this. If we did, it was a long time ago. About the significance of a wrap.
Yeah, that's a good question. So that's all these smart contracts are written in their respective languages. ERC20, CIP38. Well, different chains use different protocols, and whenever there's a layer one, there's typically its own protocol, or it might be like a side chain from another layer one. For instance, Litecoin is a layer one coin, but there are a lot of other coins that just used the Litecoin base to create a side chain. So it's a layer one, but it's just a copy of what Litecoin does. When we're wrapping coins, what's occurring is that, typically speaking, we are using another type of contract to wrap. Essentially, what you're doing is that you are saying there's the coin, but we're wrapping that coin with an Ethereum contract. So now people who are already in the Ethereum network, they would be able to quickly swap with less fees than if they had to swap from one chain to another.
Okay.
That's the Coles Notes version. Does that
Okay.
help?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good question. Beam, gaming coin, nice and low. Superverse, this is a gaming community, not just one a developer. This is a team of developers that are all integrating, and similar to the interoperability that we see coming out with things like Midnight. Superverse is doing that within the gaming industry. They want to see the ecosystems of these gaming companies start talking to each other. That way, when you make some big winnings in one game, you can take that currency and move it over to another game. Clearpool at all-time lows. Real world asset. This one, again, I now start to think it might be a while before we see the real world assets come into their full fruit, simply because whatever we see right now is going to be a little skewed because of all these computer chips that are most basically obsolete. Like, even the computers, this laptop that I'm working on right now, if you go get this brand new, it's like $4,500. But technically, it's already obsolete because the chips that are now being produced are going to be so much more efficient. And so RWAs, if they take off within the next year, they're going to be taking, well, I should say maybe 6 months. They're going to be experiencing kind of a rug pull, I think, because then when these new computer chips come out and it's so much more widely available, it's going to decrease demand quite quickly. So keep that in mind. If we start to see real world assets really start to take off in the next 2 to 3 months, could very well be just riding the wave of this last phase of those old chips being in production. Or being in circulation, rather. New chips being in production will replace that market. NPC finding some support back from, it's sitting at support all the way from July 2024. Doesn't really mean a whole lot. We are underneath this long-term trend line. So technically consolidating and at the lower end of a consolidation range. SPX also at lows. And that's it. Those are what we're following right now. I'm open to shuffling out what we're watching for people that have other assets they want me to look at. I don't know if anybody else is in neural. I still am, but if nobody else is, I don't have to necessarily bring it up at market analysis.
Bring what up?
Oh, like Neural AI with the wrapped one that we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I know Audrey got some of these, but whether or not this was one of them, if there's an asset you want me to check out, let's do it.
Well, I was thinking earlier when you were talking about silver
Hmm.
that back in 1980, like way ago, um, how what the price of it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's. I don't know that I can get that data from TradingView. Let's see. Oh, yeah, sure enough. 1980. This is the
Went
weekly chart.
all the way up to $48.
Yeah, we just only recently went beyond that for the first time since then.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wild, eh?
crazy to think what it went to, back then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then that also lets you know, like, look at how long it was there,
Yeah,
right? Oh yeah, it's right. It did top that out in April of 2011, of course,
yep,
when I
it
bought at
did.
the highs. But yeah, but it didn't really create a new high. That just pushed hard and then stayed below again. So when I see this kind of thing in a market, especially in commodities, like this is silver, this is a metal for
Yeah.
crying out loud. Obviously, this was all manipulated.
Did you
Because
see that video? You have a chance to look at it?
which one?
Oh, the one that I sent yesterday on silver.
Oh no, I
No,
haven't.
no silver, no peace.
No, I haven't checked that out yet.
Why empires collapse when silver runs out.
Yeah, that's a good. That's going to be a good one.
I've never heard that explanation before, and I thought it was like out of the box, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was very good. But anyhow,
I'll check it out.
yeah,
But it's true. Like silver is a major cornerstone. But the saying is that, and this goes back throughout history. Gold is the currency of kings. Silver is the currency of merchants, and currency is the currency of slaves.
by currency of slaves, you're talking about
Fiat.
fiat. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, it's interesting in Roman times, which is what this video points out, that the soldiers were paid in silver, which they were
Yeah.
totally happy to. But as time went on, they replaced silver with copper,
Yes.
and at some point, of course, copper is much more available than silver is,
Yep.
and so the soldiers began to realize that they were just getting,
Getting
uh,
gypped.
yep. And once eventually it ran out, the saying is that it was the soldiers that went after the government people.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, there's your working class taking over type
Yep,
scenario. Yeah.
yep,
And that makes so much sense because Rome really, and this is a big article that I'm finishing up right now, talking about uh, how Rome was structured at that time, and like oh yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's very
good.
revealing to what's going on today.
Mm.
The correlations are uncanny. But yeah, there's silver, eh? The lows $3.80. That was even beat out in 91. The lows from February 76 were beat out by the lows of 91. Wild. Total market cap. This is total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So all the altcoins, basically. And of course, here's how much gold does it take to buy a Bitcoin? Still dropping. creating new lows all the time. Even though here, the last time it was this much gold to buy Bitcoin, it was, well, I say the last time, it was back 2023, but even when it was $69,000 for one Bitcoin, it was 20 ounces of gold.
Do they do this with data? Like how do they, like Bitcoin is a digital currency, so data is digital. How do they value data against gold? Where are they valuing that?
Our attention. Data is created through attention. And so that's why the media is just exponentially growing by leaps and bounds right now, because everybody's trying to get money, attention. Because the only way that you're going to make money is if someone can pay attention to you. And data is the manifestation of someone's attention, whether it's in the creating it or the consuming it.
But they say that data is the new gold. How do they measure that? Just like they said Bitcoin is the new gold, and now in the chart in front of us we see Bitcoin measured against gold. How are they going to measure data against gold or silver, for that matter?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's think of it this way. Before, we would actually, you know what, be really good. I don't know if you've read my on my X profile. I've got a pinned post, and I think I do anyway. I'll find it and I'll paste it into Next Gen Merchant into the Telegram. But
Yeah.
it shows the correlation between the asset classes of the past and the asset classes of the future. Gold in itself represents a source of energy, and the price that gold is determined by the amount of energy required to get it. So, for example, people say, "Oh, what is the price of the apple?" The apple itself is actually free; it just grows out of the tree. But what we pay for is the energy to have that apple picked and delivered. So in the same way, gold is measured, the way that gold received its value is by the attention that it received through the concept of time. But now our time is more valuably spent consuming and creating data. Why? Because the behaviors of humanity are more visible now. They are present and public. And so now the form of our attention has shifted. Take Google, for example, with YouTube. Today, in one day, more video is uploaded to YouTube. YouTube grows in volume more than all of the television programming from the time that it started till 1994. In one day, more content gets uploaded to YouTube. So the sheer amount of the sheer volume of data that is out there, and the masterful art in which the designers of our reality that we call, countries and all of that, the financial system, revolves around keeping our attention on things that are more profitable for the capitalists, and I say that crony capitalists specifically,
Yeah.
to maintain their thing. It's like Facebook. When we were doing Facebook marketing, it was drilled into us from the very get-go. Facebook doesn't care whether or not someone makes money with their ads. They could care less. All they care about is whether or not the end user is still on the platform. That's why for a long time you couldn't even use ads that sent, like, you couldn't place an ad that had a link to an external website.
Okay.
If you did, it was 5 times, 8 times the price than if you had an ad that was, to engage with another video. If you could keep people on the platform, your ads were way cheaper.
Interesting.
So it's all about where is the attention of the people, because that is the currency. That's the only currency that keeps them going. If we stop paying attention to their data,
Yep.
or to the systems of data that they propose we must use,
Yep.
then we're feeding that machine, because the attention is the only currency that it can actually bank on. All of the other currencies are just representations of the attention. I mean, even take a look at 100 years ago. If you were a working man, you were working because you needed more dollars. So your attention throughout the day went towards more dollars. This is why I like to bring up, the love of money is the root of all evil. I don't think money is the root of all evil. I think the love of money is the root of all evil. But
It is. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, but who loves money the most? The guy that sits back and is an entrepreneur, and he works maybe 4 minutes a week and he gets $100,000 a month? Does he love money more? Or does the guy who works hard 60, 70 hours a week pull some overtime shifts so that he can make sure that his family's fed well and taken care of and puts a little bit of money for savings away? Who loves money more? Because to me, love is spelt time.
Very good.
And if you are spending a lot of time on something, it means that you are spending a lot of love on it, attention. You're giving a lot of energy to it. And so that's how I view it. So that's not just my opinion. I mean, we can look throughout Scripture and see plenty of examples of how we're supposed to be spending our time with more awareness that there is going to be a return on that investment.
Sure.
And if there is, we had better make sure that time is well spent.
Yeah, I think and I believe this. I have believed this for years, that it's a misnomer to think that the wealthy are the only greedy ones around. You can have a guy that's homeless who's just as greedy. It's just that he can't. He maybe doesn't have the success at it that a wealthy guy does.
Right.
But his focus, his attention, his desire, the desire is everything. It's what the desire is for, and that desire translates to the love,
Yes.
So I think that's a very good comments that you've just made. So I want to go back to this Bitcoin to gold thing and compare that to data. So you're saying that the Bitcoin to gold is equivalent to data to attention.
Well, the chart itself is giving me an indication as to which is rising in value more.
Okay, sure. I mean, but every chart has 2 parts to it.
Yeah.
You have Bitcoin USDT, Bitcoin USD, Bitcoin CAD, whatever,
Yeah.
A 2-part. So we're looking at data. Data has to have a value to it.
Right.
If data is the new gold,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying it's that value is measured in attention, which I find very interesting.
It's think about it this way. Apple, their devices, automatically, you have to turn this feature off. But automatically, Apple devices will tell you what your average screen time was every week.
Yep.
So they can measure.
Yep.
They actually have the perfect mechanism to obtain the metrics they need to measure that data. It's just every time the screen pops up, every time you swipe up to unlock it, every time you go to click another link on Facebook, that is all measurable data that they can verify was your attention. And to the degree that they can get you to create choices that result in more revenue, you don't have to spend money. But if you're making choices that result in more time on it,
Sure.
that's the value that they want to be able to secure. And I say it's like everybody should. Like we all need to be securing our data because it is something that we create with the intention of either holding that private or sharing it with someone else. But
My
if
thought,
I'm sharing it with someone else, I don't want it to be attached to terms and conditions that says that that data now belongs to someone else.
another way in which they might measure the data is on each home or each device's usage, because we have these data packages with our cell phones, and so they know exactly how much is being used without having to go into the granular of how many swipes I've done. They
Yeah.
know I'm lucky if I use 5 gigs a month. I'm not that great of a consumer. Where someone like in Paul's industry, where he's online virtually all the time, would use a considerable amount more than I would, and so
Mhm.
he would be more valuable to them than I am, simply based on the amount of gigs that I don't use.
Okay, so how does a group like ours here, how do we um, I'm not sure how to formulate the question, but it's relating to data. How do we then live? Are we just simply trying to avoid dispensing data from our usage, from our attention? Or is there a way for us to tap in, just like we can buy Bitcoin or gold or silver or whatever? We can buy those. Can we actually buy data? Can we buy into that investment? Can we buy into that? Or are we just simply like that Horizons video that Audrey Lynn you posted last week or 2 weeks ago from Horizons Canada? Do you know what I'm talking about? So I can't hear you.
You're muted.
The dystopian chart.
Yeah, I don't know if it was dystopian. It was just something that was on there. Yeah.
I would
But-
find it. I find it dystopian so much so that I can't. I've had difficulty looking at the document again.
Okay, well, I've actually really looked at it, and I've sent it to my colleagues.
Awesome.
And I said, guys, we need to take a serious look at it because this is what the government of Canada is doing. This is their document, and if they're doing that, if it's on their radar, then it needs to be on our radar in terms of looking forward. So when I see that there is some time in the future where the concept and the idea of billionaires running the world, controlling governance, then we need to pay attention, either in how we act now to avoid that, or how we act now to make that function in our favor, or so that we're not subject to that. I think it's very significant. I think it is an extremely significant document. So much so that I actually copied it to a file that can't be changed. I've copied it. It's there on my file. They can't change it.
Right.
I can say what's funny is that I actually had that document from a year ago on my file. And I looked at it, there's a bit of verbiage that was changed, but it never really struck me until now how significant that was. A little bit of verbiage was changed from a year ago to the current document. Just verbiage, though, not the actual chart that you included there, Audrey Lynn. So So that speaks to data. They are able to generate certain perspectives based on data. It's like taking a Myers-Briggs temperament analysis test or something like that. They're picking out answers to questions. They're picking out your character, your tendencies, how you see things, etc. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
same idea here with data. So how do we tap into that? That's my question.
Amazing. Privatize the data. Make
Okay,
it so
but there's
that you can't share. Make it so that no one can see your data except by your explicit consent.
okay, so that's where we get into de-Googled phones,
Mm-hmm.
de-Googled computers, Linux, for instance.
End-to-end
Uh,
encryption, get keys for your like that's why blockchain is a great platform to teach people these principles, is because you can create a key without having to be a developer. You don't have to know about hidden folders or encrypted files or anything like that in order to create your own keys.
okay, so I guess it comes back to the question. Um, I can buy Bitcoin and then sell it at a higher price, or lose money and sell it at a lower price. Uh, so the question comes back to data. How do I protect or secure my data in such a way that is of monetary value to me? And maybe it's not. Maybe it's not intended to be monetary value. Just like,
Right.
somebody wants to take blood out of me without my permission
Mm-hmm.
or with my permission. I'm either donating blood or they're extracting. I guess you could look at China and their what's that program they've got going there?
Organ stealing, not harvesting.
Harvesting. Correct. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Without consent.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea.
Absolutely. We
All
have
of,
to
all of this
remember.
is on the same idea. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to remember that what data is really a representation or manifestation of our ability to innovate the hammer and chisel.
Our ability to what?
To innovate the hammer and chisel.
Okay.
And when you are creating something like the hammer and chisel on a tablet, you're writing something that's yours. You're the creator of that collection of inscriptions. Data is just another way that we can start collecting inscriptions. It's just now done at a molecular level and increasingly at a more atomic level as the years go by.
So say that phrase again. Data is our ability to.
Data is simply the manifestation,
Okay.
and I would say inevitable manifestation of innovating the hammer and chisel.
Okay.
So the first thing that I would recommend, the most user-friendly way that I'm familiar with, is to use storage.io. Because with storage.io, I'll show you what I can do with it. And this is where I'm excited to get my site done so that I can then demonstrate further, because this is this is where the rubber meets the road. So storage, let me call it up through Opera. Storage is a blockchain-based, decentralized storage service. And so in order for you to use this is not like when you sign up for, cloud computing or whatever else. You are, wait, where did my thing go? Dun-dun-dun-dun. And it's not pulling up. There we go. All right, so this is storage. This is unlike normal cloud storage. In order for me to get this, I had to create a key. And in order for people to see this screen, they would have to have that physical key. This is impossible to see without the physical key on the device that's accessing this site.
Okay.
So now it's a self-verifying, right? Remember, we're getting away from that Web 2. Web 3 is where I authenticate my user access. They're simply the provider of the user access. They can't even see this. They could not possibly log in and see my account. So I go to my projects here, and I've got two what they are called they are projects. Each project, when I open it, it has an entire dashboard. It helps me see all of the information for my data. I go to browse, and these are called buckets. You can call them individually. They are essentially operate as servers.
Interesting.
And so each one of these is to do with specific forms of work. I got Postmaster General work. I got Masterminds. That's where all the videos go. I've got some client stuff here. I'm going to go ahead into Masterminds, and I'm going to bring up the folder. So here's market analysis. There's 2511. That's this year, November. Here are all the videos.
Very good.
Now what I do, this is where the magic happens. Now this is stored decentralized. When I go back to the dashboard here, it'll even say, here are all the objects. Those are the objects. I've got 553 files, but these are the segments.
What do you mean segments?
They take the files and they fragment it. Imagine taking an envelope, putting it through a paper shredder, and just having it scattered to the wind and completely impossible to piece back together again, unless, of course, you're like me and you keep your key.
Yep.
Because my key, when I plug that in, it reassembles all those fragments into a legible file that I can see.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, exactly. It's really no different. And it really, the only thing limiting this is the number of nodes. Because that's all that is. Those are just the nodes.
6,000 is how many nodes they have?
Yep.
Sweet.
So, this here is decentralized storage. When I'm pulling up something, I can go ahead and give these files permissions. So for instance, this is all private data.
Yep.
Let's go to market analysis again. We'll go to November, and I'll go over here. There's a share button. Now when I click this button, a prompt shows up. It says, hey, every shared file requires an explicit access key.
Sweet.
So I have to provide my consent. That button is my action. Remember how contract works. You have to take an act of consent in order for the next step to occur. No expiration, because it's going to be embedded on my website. But I could customize that and be like, yeah, this content is only available for a period of time. Date. But I don't want an expiration. I want it to be there for as long as the website exists. So I just go no expiration, and I go next. It creates that key. And it says, okay, well, if you wanted to, people could publicly access this with a public key, but they have to be a member. So now I can create a token wall or a stake wall to prevent them from stealing. And they have to have that NFT in their wallet, in their browser, with the key that they got to be able to access this. So now I've privatized my data. I've privatized my entire domain of data. Every one of those ones and zeros is mine. Why? Because when I pay for storage, I don't pay in dollars. That's the cool thing. Where do I go for my billing? Oh yeah, account. Billing. I could pay in dollars, but I don't. I pay with storage tokens because it's a coin.
Sweet.
And by the way, I only put $5 in,
Oh wow.
and that was 6 months ago.
So how come you haven't shown us the storage chart?
Oh, I guess, yeah, I could probably follow it. But I only put this much in so that I could have, because I
Sure.
needed tokens to pay for storage.
Sweet. That's cool, man. No, what I love about that is that you have to be a member. It's only
Yeah.
only a member can. That's very cool.
Hmm.
I'm just thinking of that for Shift and some of the other stuff we're doing.
You're exactly right. And this is what I've been excited to see happen with Shift specifically. Let's
Yeah.
go back to my chalkboard here, because this is where, to me, the magic begins. You create, and this is where I am right. Oh man, that is not lined up well at all. I got two mice there. Let me just hide this for the time being.
To Mies?
Two mice, yeah. So you have all those files on storage. You could put all of the content for Shift into that database.
Correct.
And now on the Shift website, instead of, sign in, username and password, we can go past that now, and now we can go into the future where there's a little button up in the top that says connect wallet. And they don't even have to have a token in there, but by connecting their wallet, they are creating the digital identifier that your website needs to be able to display content. So you can have free content. The only thing you got to do is create your own user ID with us by connecting your wallet.
Now, which wallet or what wallet? A storage wallet or
I would go with whatever your customers are going to gravitate to use. I like Lace because it's super user friendly. But I mean, you can, if you have the developer kit to connect a Lace wallet, you have the same kit to connect an Emergo wallet or Eternal or Yoroi or Vesper or any of the other ones, because they all operate on the same parameters. They just have different user interfaces between between them.
what wallets can you not use on that?
You could use any wide. When Midnight becomes a wallet that you can connect to a website,
Yep.
you got 8 different
But
coins.
you can't use an
can-
exchange wallet, for instance.
Oh yeah, no. This would be only non-custodial
Non-custodial wallets.
wallets. Yeah. But there are apps for they have their bias, right? A lot of them, especially in the decentralized exchange world, they're all connecting to MetaMask. It really just boils down to, where do you think your ideal client's going to be using wallets, or which kind of wallet do you think they're going to be using? Which chain are they using? That would be the best determining factor.
Well, here's a question. Pardon me. Part of my question with, for instance, Lace is that, in conversation you and I've had in the past, Lace is best set up not on a Google platform.
Yeah.
So I want to know what is the most user friendly. There's people that are going to understand non-custodial wallets, and then there's people that are not going to understand why Lace needs a non-Google platform.
Right.
Okay, so those are two different personalities, two different characters, two different depths of understanding. The most shallow you can go is the better, because you're bound to hit more people who just dipping their toe in than you are people who are, swimming out in the deep ocean.
Right.
Okay, so the question comes back to, which is the most user friendly from that perspective. I don't
Still, I
find
would,
MetaMask necessarily
yeah,
user friendly.
no, I agree. Again, I find Lace to be the most user friendly way to get people used to how this works.
Okay.
When it comes down to it, there are going to be some wallets that are they're geared more towards people of certain walks of life. Even Lace is great for the general public to get to know how to use it. Once you start gravitating towards certain communities, like the trading community, you I would not recommend creating a website for a trading community using Cardano to connect. I wouldn't, because most people who are doing trading, they're actually not that interested in Cardano.
Yep.
The majority of them are Ethereum nuts, right?
Yep.
So, and that's fine. It's just a business asset, and you can do the same thing with you can do the same thing with any one of the chains. But now you once that wallet's connected, then you have opportunities to upsell them, right? So now you can say, well, thank you so much for connecting your wallet. Enjoy all of this free content that we've got. My intention, and this is how I'm setting up my site, is when it's free, they're going to have access to courses. And those courses, I say courses, it's going to be, course number 1, how to transfer money or transfer tokens from an exchange to your new wallet, because they just connected the wallet, right? So they might know how to do that already, but if they're a brand new user to my website, majority of those people don't even have a non-custodial wallet. So the process itself of creating that digital identifier is going to be their first step. So I would create a course showing them what to do next. And as they progress through that, they will automatically come to the conclusion, because of how much I'm giving them for free, that these courses have equipped them to take the next step, which is course number 3, still for free. I don't know what 2 would be, but take them through the steps. When they get to here, it's just the logical step. This tutorial is how to, or rather, how to purchase an NFT. And that tutorial shows them how to purchase the NFT. At the end of that tutorial is a call to action. When they click that button, they're invited to purchase the next gen merchant NFT. And when they buy that, when that transaction's done, when that smart contract is fulfilled, now they get access to course 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Very good.
So it becomes a progressive journey for them. And
But
we're really, go ahead, yeah?
You're hooking them and reeling them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are fishers of men after all.
Yes, of course. I remember my wife, we were still dating, and we were over at some friend's place years ago, and he was watching the Masters. And I think it was, this is so long ago that I think Arnold was still involved. And so Arnold had putted. And this guy was, him and my wife got along like a house on fire. And he was old enough to be her dad. So he was kind of teasing her and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to him, she had the remote control in her hands. And he putted, and the putt got about 3 feet away from the hole, and she shut the TV off. So I thought of that while you were talking about this. Is that Eggemon, then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, what? I can't go any further
Yeah.
until, you know. So it was really hilarious. But anyhow,
Yeah. Well, and that
um,
principle brings up the idea of microtransactions. The reason why data is so expensive is because they just keep making it cheaper all the time. So the microtransactions become like a natural step people just take. Oh, yeah, I want more. Oh, yeah, I want. Oh, my, another paywall? Well, I guess if I want it. And they
yes,
do it. They do it.
yeah.
I was just talking last week. Oh yeah, on Friday I was talking about there was a video game that I played back in 2019, and it was a very collaborative online game. In fact, the game wasn't fun unless you were meeting up with people, like how we're meeting up here, and strategize playing the game together. Well, there was a couple, and they had an international logistics firm, so they were dealing with shipping containers and ships and trucks on land and all kinds of logistics. Well, they for fun they played this game together as a couple, and because they were owners of a company, they were of course very very affluent. Well, they invested into their little bases on this little digital game that was emanating the blue light from the palms of their hands. They invested $180,000. And I say invested because they played against other people and were making bets with like the Chinese, like who's going to be a better player. And like they had their own little esports tournament thing going on where the big bosses, the people that had spent, more than $150,000 on their little video game base, they were all competing, and then they would go and have their own little tournaments off on the side. And like it was crazy with like prize money and everything. So data is by far, by volume, by dollar volume, it is the single largest commodity today. It's wild. I played with a guy that was he was from Texas. He was an oil field, something to do with, he's a geologist, but some sort of an engineer as well. And, made $250,000 a year or whatever. He played the video game to relax. That was his way of relaxing. Even though, like, most people got stressed out and all that stuff. And he just played it like a game. But even as just a game, when we migrated from one state to another, it was from one server to another, he spent $6,000 upgrading his base so that he could be president of that new server.
Wow.
Yep. It's crazy. And I guess that's kind of like it's it that perspective on video gaming allowed me to see exactly how they were able to pull off COVID. Because they basically just told people, "Oh, looks like you're going online." Zoom became a household name. Shelter in place. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I know you miss your friends. Don't gather with them. Don't get together for game night. No, no, no. Just visit each other from your computers. And I think we're gonna see that again. That programming language is going to be used again. And I was just saying to Wayne, I think it's going to be along the lines of, it's not safe to be online because of all the AI deception that's out there, and so it's better for you to, just chat with an AI instead of your friends because you don't know whether or not that's your friend on the other side. And that sounds surreal, but when you take into consideration now that the next generation of people, Gen Z, people that have been born after 2020 or 2000, they are not looking at AI the same way that we do. We see AI as this massive machine that's capable of searching itself. They see the machine as something capable of running their life. an operating system for their life. Now I don't have to email people. This is awesome. Now I don't even have to text people. This is great. I don't even have to show up for that meeting. Why? Because now I can get an app on my computer that creates a likeness of me to attend that meeting. When you have that capacity, automatically there's going to be a limit to whether or not you know that you're connecting with a human being or a machine. We have to completely rethink the way we think, especially when it comes to data. This is why I say like the 5 major industries that are emerging industries of the 4th industrial revolution: nanotechnology, quantum computing, which I think we're going to see quantum computing really take the direction that, you know, I talked about in Extropic. Thermodynamic computing, which makes it probabilistic instead of deterministic. We chatted about that. Then there's artificial intelligence itself, LLMs. There's biotechnology. You know, people with nanotechnology, now you can take the raw materials, atoms, and you can assemble them into patterns that create materials. Biological materials, if necessary. So synthetic biology is a very real thing on the horizon. Nanotechnology, I mentioned that already. And of course, blockchain. Blockchain is that kind of that last piece of the puzzle that makes it possible to privatize it. But it's also, I think, one of the most misunderstood technologies of today. Like nanotechnology, you can, even if someone doesn't know what it is, you can explain to them that, oh yeah, it just means that now we're able to build things at the molecular level. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but blockchain makes it where you can privatize your data. And they're like, what? I don't know what you mean. Like, what does that mean? What is the significance of that? It's a completely different thing. And I think that right now, especially what's occurring in the language patterns of people, especially the salt of the earth, we're talking like the fringe minority, the traditional, you know, Christian value conservative that we have mostly in North America. The danger that we have is that their language patterns are to be fearful of digital IDs.
Yep.
You know, we were in Salmon Arm, and within the first 10 minutes, the one guy was saying that the digital ID is the mark of the beast, and we're not going to be able to sell anything. We're not going to be able to buy anything. We're going to be cut off from the market. We're not going to be able to do. And I'm like, I recognize where he's coming from.
Sure. Yep.
And I value the concern. But, I mean, really, you're right. It is a mark. And if you don't have it, you won't be able to buy things or sell things, ... in Canada. Rome is not all the inhabited earth.
Yep.
It's just in
my
Canada.
grandparents thought that Hitler and Mussolini were the beast and the Antichrist.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that programming is something that we see come back pattern after pattern, simply because it's so many generations of where that language is used that it
Sure.
shows up in different patterns.
Well, we look at many things just in my own lifetime. We look at the change in the value of gold,
Yep.
particularly in the 70s, you know, when it went off this gold standard. And I mean, gold just skyrocketed, as we saw in silver, you know, in 1980.
Yeah.
And then the year 1984, George Orwell's, you know, everybody
Yeah.
is waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Well, 1984 came and went. And then, of course, there was Black Friday, or was it Black Monday on 1987,
Right.
you know, when the stock market just crashed and collapsed.
Yeah.
And then there was Y2K, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
and
and
then there was SARS,
yeah.
right? Notice after 2000, it was a shift more so into viral dangers.
Well, there was the war on terrorism first.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that became, I mean, when they brought in the Homeland Security Act and all that kind of stuff, I think that's what it's called. you don't make something that is that huge document wise overnight. So
Right.
this was already in the works that
Oh,
they were
yeah.
had that sitting on the shelf for such a time as this.
Yes.
And they got what they wanted, and boom, there it is. And then you go on to other things. You go on to maybe take a little step higher, and you get the SARS thing, and then
Yep.
well, that didn't work, So you
Hmm.
go to 2007, 2008, and the monetary thing, and well, that didn't really work either, as much as they
Yep.
liked. And then, well, then you have what happened between then and COVID. I don't think anything really. But anyhow, my
Well,
point is that you
more virus
had
stuff because there's like H1N1. There was hantavirus for a
sure,
while that had a resurgence. Yeah, I saw, especially after the financial crisis, the intensification of the language around our health and autoimmune and all that good stuff.
and as you said, you spotted the digitalization of ID back in what was it, 2006?
2008. It was right after the crash, right after the
Okay,
stock market crash. Yeah.
so that's been coming for some time, more than 15 years, 20 years
Yep.
almost. Um, so yeah, it's just one step after another, but it's not having the impact they're wanting.
I agree.
So I'm thinking that, like I've always believed that the mark of the beast is is an attitude. It's not a
Mm.
it's not a it's not a mark on the hand or the forehead. They could hold me down and put a 666 across my forehead. That doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it has to have it's something of the heart. It's something of the spirit within a man or woman.
I
If
resonate with
you
that.
if you do not have this attitude, you can't buy or sell. So
Hmm.
so I don't see the digital ID as I see it as a controlling feature, but not to the extent that some people see it.
Right.
What you're saying about the attitude, Ian, reminds me of when we were at the Rimby Market in September and how people were walking around our table, like giving it a super wide berth.
Hmm.
They could not resonate with us. We didn't say a word. We were just standing there smiling, offering bevies and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it was like we were a pariah in that
Huh.
market. And,
What
and
was
simply energetically.
interesting? Hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think we're going to see that more. I mean, the same level of isolation that I experienced from 2019 to 2020, there was 6 months period of time where I had a complete disassociation from everybody in my life. Business contacts. I was working in property management alongside a company that was going down this route of privatizing their data and creating user interfaces for residents that were in high-rise condos and so on and so forth. It was an exciting time, very very exciting time of life. And within a period of 6 months, I virtually had no one. There was Jack and Michelle. Those were the only people that I managed to remain contact with
Hmm.
after that year.
Yep.
And we're going to see it again. But this time it's going to be different because we have, through this last 5 years, we've found each other.
Yep.
And this is that foundation where it's like, hey, we recognize the patterns and we can speak each other's language.
Yep.
Let's move forward as with the empowerment that is ours by divine right.
Hmm.
By
Very much
nature.
so.
Even more so than by divine right, it's just by nature. That's our resting state.
Yep.
Like
Well, the
that
divine
image.
right is supporting, undergirding the natural by
Yes, yeah,
nature.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. And I think of that image that you have of that girl, the touching the forehead of the lion. That
Yes.
surrender is the state of being that we can all aspire to have for ourselves, because there is no future to go chase. We're here in the kingdom right now.
Yeah. Yep. Very intriguing.
Sure is.
Exciting.
Indeed. All right. Well, what time is it? 12:22.
Yeah, time for me to go.
Have a good rest of the day, everybody. This was awesome.
Blessing to you all.
Indeed. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Maureen, you and I, we're on here in like 15 minutes, yeah? 10 minutes.